My name is Elias Thorne, and at 43 years old, I've carried more regrets than possessions through this unforgiving world.
Standing here on the America's Got Talent stage,
under these glaring lights that feel like judgment from above, I can hardly believe it's real. For years, I've been a ghost on the streets, invisible to most, scraping by in the shadows of cities that chew you up and spit you out. But before I share what little music I have left in me, let me unfold the story of how I ended up here. A tale of longing, loss, and the violin that has been both my curse and my unspoken dream. I grew up in the crumbling heart of Detroit, in a neighborhood where hope was as rare as a steady paycheck. My parents were survivors, not dreamers. Dad fixed cars in a garage that paid pennies. Mom stitched clothes in a sweatshop until her fingers bled. But even in that grit, there was a flicker of something beautiful. At 9, I stumbled upon an old violin in my grandfather's attic, dusty, forgotten, with strings that hummed like whispers from another life. Grandpa had played it once, back when he immigrated from Ireland, filling our tiny home with melodies that made the walls feel less confining. The moment I touched it, a fire ignited in me. I'd sneak away for hours, clumsily drawing the bow across the strings, dreaming of concert halls and crowds hanging on every note. That violin wasn't just wood and wire, it was freedom, a voice for the words I couldn't say. I craved it like air, imagining myself as a maestro, escaping the poverty that chained us all. But life had other plans, cruel and unrelenting. At 12, Dad's garage shut down, and he spiraled into depression, his temper flaring like a match in dry grass. He'd lash out at home, breaking whatever was in reach, including that precious violin one drunken night when he caught me practicing instead of helping with chores. "Dreams don't feed us, boy," he roared, splintering it against the wall. Mom tried to shield me, but she was fighting her own battles. Chronic pain from years of labor that left her bedridden. I dropped out of school at 15 to work odd jobs, delivering papers, scrubbing floors, anything to keep food on the table. The violin, it became a distant ache, a luxury I couldn't afford. I patched together a cheap replacement from a pawn shop, but with bills piling up and Mom's health failing, there was no time for lessons or pursuits. I buried my longing deep, telling myself survival came first. Then the blows kept coming. Mom passed when I was 18, her body worn out like an old rag. Dad, consumed by guilt and grief, vanished soon after, left a note saying he couldn't face the emptiness. Suddenly, I was alone, adrift in a world that didn't care. I moved to New York, chasing work in construction, but the city was a beast. Jobs dried up in the recession. I lost apartments to evictions, friends to the streets' temptations. For a while, I held on to relationships. A girlfriend named Lena who believed in me, urging me to pick up the violin again. We scraped by together, her waitressing while I labored in warehouses. But hardship poisoned us. Arguments turned bitter. She left after a miscarriage we couldn't afford to grieve properly, saying I was too broken to build a future with.
Isolation crept in like fog, and soon
I was truly on my own, no family, no anchors, just the echo of that childhood craving for the violin's solace. It was only then, when the world had stripped me bare, that I turned to the violin for survival.
with no one left to support or disappoint.
I scavenged a battered one from a thrift store in Chicago, cracked varnish, frayed strings, a shadow of what I once dreamed. I started busking on corners, not for glory, but for coins to buy bread. The music flowed from necessity, raw and unpolished, drawing passers-by who tossed pity or admiration into my case. It kept me alive through freezing nights under bridges, scorching days in LA alleys. But even in that desperation, the old longing resurfaced, a quiet wish for something more than scraps. I'd play snippets of forgotten tunes, feeling the violin's pull like a lost love, wondering what life might have been if circumstances hadn't crushed my ambitions. I've never owned a proper instrument. The fine ones in shop windows taunt me, symbols of a path I couldn't take. Tonight, on this stage, holding a borrowed violin that feels like silk against my skin, smooth curves, resonant tone, I'm not chasing fame. I'm honoring that buried dream, the one that survived when everything else crumbled. For the boy who yearned under those Detroit roofs, for the man left utterly alone, this is my confession.
Now, if you'll let me, I'll let the music speak the rest.